So welcome everybody to this conference with Le Cercle des Langues. Today we are going to be discussing dealing with emergencies, useful phrases and vocabulary. Stay prepared in unexpected situations. This evening's conference is level B1 to B2. So for the next 25 minutes, I will present the conference. And for the last 5 minutes, we will have a question and answer section. So if you have any, please put them onto a piece of paper or put them into the chat, and we will have a look at them later. So let's begin. This evening's conference has 4 parts. We will be discussing general preparedness and first steps. We will look at medical emergencies and first aid. For section 3, we will look at accidents, fires, and natural disasters. And for the final section today, we will look at everyday emergencies, travel, theft, and lost items. So emergencies are unpredictable accidents, medical problems, or natural disasters that can happen anywhere. Knowing the right vocabulary helps you react fast, call for help, and give clear instructions that protect you and others. So let's look at being generally prepared and what are your first steps that you need to take. In an emergency, it is important to know what to do in the first few minutes before professional help arrives. In this section, we will look at simple steps and key phrases to stay safe and to help others. So the first and most important thing is that we need to remain calm, because remaining calm is essential. So what are some phrases that we could use either in our own personal emergencies or if we are trying to calm someone else or help someone else? Common phrases we use are stay calm, don't panic, or I need help, call the ambulance, please hurry to show that it's an emergency, or can you help me? When something unexpected happens, it is important to stay calm and use clear words. For example, stay calm, I am calling 911. Don't panic, everything will be fine. Please, I need help now. Call an ambulance immediately. It's serious. Help, somebody, please. So we look at keywords such as emergency or danger or ambulance, police, fire department, injured, bleeding, safe zone, and rescue. But how do we use this vocabulary? Let's look at an example conversation, and we will see how each of these terms or expressions help us express the need for an immediate response. So Anna says, oh no, this is a medical emergency. The woman is bleeding heavily. Mark says, quick, call an ambulance. Anna says, I can't get through. Can you call the police or the fire department? Mark says, yes, I'm on it. Everyone, there is danger. Keep away. And a good idea. Let's move her to a safe zone until help arrives. Mark says, don't worry, the rescue team is coming. She will be safe soon. A very important part is that we give clear instructions. These short instructions are useful because they guide people during an emergency. So whether you are dealing with one person or a group of people, it's important to let people know clearly what they need to do, because some people might not be aware of what the emergency is. For example, stay where you are, don't run. Wait here until the police arrive. Follow me to the safest exit or to the safe exit. Don't move him until the ambulance comes. Stand back, give him space to breathe. In medical emergencies and first aid, we have a different kind of vocabulary. So in medical situations, we look for things like, is he unconscious? They could be choking. They could have a burn. They could have a fracture. They could have an allergic reaction. We might have to perform CPR. They could have fainted. They could be bleeding, or there could be a wound. So let's look at some of those examples in context. So for the first part, we are looking at assessing and planning. So someone is injured, we now have to assess the situation and then plan our next move. So Anna says, wait, don't move him. Let's check if he is breathing. Yes, I can see his chest moving, but he's bleeding a lot. Okay, this looks serious. I'll call the ambulance right now. Good idea. Tell them we need help quickly. So we will maybe then get a first aid kit, because maybe the police will advise us to do something while they are on their way. And inside a first aid kit, you can find many useful items such as bandages, scissors, gloves, medicine, and a thermometer. So I always keep a first aid kit in my car. So on the right, you can see many different things that one could find. For example, gloves, the first aid kit, the adhesive or a surgical mask, painkillers, maybe, scissors, a cotton swab, medical wipes. You could have safety pins or plasters or spirits to disinfect the wound. Cough syrup, maybe not, but it's possible. You could find cotton wool or a digital thermometer to check someone's temperature. You could have a bandage or pyodine, so more medical chemicals or medical medication. You could have tweezers or aspirin. So every first aid kit is different, but for most of the time, you will find gloves, masks, things that can help you in an emergency. So what are our first aid steps? In an emergency, the first few minutes are very important. These 4 steps will help you give first aid safely. You assess the situation. You plan what is the next right thing to do. You implement, because maybe the ambulance or the person on the phone will guide you to do CPR. And then you evaluate to see if the situation is improving or if it is not. So you assess. You look around and check if the place is safe. You see if the person is awake, breathing, or bleeding. You take a plan. You call the emergency services. What help is needed? The ambulance, the police, the fire brigade, and you get ready to give simple first aid. You then implement this plan. You start the first aid if you know how. For example, you stop the bleeding, you do CPR, or you keep the person calm. You stay with them and you keep checking their condition. And finally, you evaluate. You watch carefully to see if the person's condition changes, and you repeat the steps if needed and decide if you must continue or wait for emergency help. Most of the time, you will have someone on the phone who is guiding you through the correct steps to take. So when calling emergency services, we need to make sure that our communication is clear. For example, there's been a car crash, people are injured. The patient is unconscious, please come quickly. Someone fainted, send medical help now. Most of the time, the conversation will begin with you giving your name and your address, and then what is happening. And in this moment, it's important that we can describe symptoms, if it's us or if it is someone else. For example, he can't breathe, his chest hurts. She feels dizzy and weak. He has a terrible headache and a fever. She is shaking and she feels very cold. He looks very pale. Something is wrong. So things we always look for is fever, a cough, a loss of taste or smell, and our difficulty breathing. So when we move back to first aid, we need to remember that there are certain steps we can follow. We lift his head carefully so that he can breathe. We cover the burn with a clean cloth, and we keep him warm with a blanket. So again, it is normally someone who will help you on the phone and guide you through the correct steps to take. What do we do in the case of accidents, fires, and natural disasters? Certain expressions that are useful in these situations are used in many different situations. For example, we stay calm. We call emergency services. We follow the evacuation routes. We find shelter. And you protect your head. You stay away from the windows. Do not use the elevator. Listen to official instructions and help others if possible. Wait for the all clear. So the all clear is when an official person gives you the thumbs up to move, clear the building, or act accordingly. So what kind of natural disasters can we find? We could have a flood. There could be a tornado. There could be an earthquake or a hurricane, a wildfire, a tsunami, a landslide, or a winter storm. And depending on the area where you live, these natural disasters will already have a plan. Because if you live in a place where there are floods, there will probably already be instructions given by a city hall or the fire brigade or the police as to what to do in this situation. So what do we do when we respond to a fire emergency? We use the acronym ARRACE, which provides a structured 4-step procedure for responding to a fire emergency. So the R is for rescue anyone in immediate danger. A, you activate the fire alarm. C, you call 911 or your local emergency number. And E, you evacuate the area using the nearest exit. So some of that vocabulary that could be used is fire, get out of the building, or watch out, the ceiling might fall. Stay away, the fire is spreading, or run to the exit and do not use the elevator. So certain things are standard. For example, if there is a fire, we tend to not use the elevator. We tend to use the stairs. So there are certain things that are already quite obvious that we need to do. It's just that we need to be aware of the rules in case of a fire. So let's look at an example dialogue. I smell smoke. Do you? Yes, there's a fire on the second floor. Let's warn everybody quickly. Use the stairs, avoid the elevator. We must reach the safe zone outside. Extra phrases could be close the doors to stop the fire spreading, or cover your mouth with a cloth. And sometimes we find that we are not dealing with a natural disaster or a fire, but we are dealing with everyday emergencies. For example, travel, theft, and lost items. Let's look at some more common scenarios related to travel, theft, and lost items, and the appropriate expressions for each situation. In a travel emergency, you could say, for example, that my passport was stolen at the station, or I lost my luggage at the airport. I need the number of my embassy. I want to make a police report. I need to contact my travel insurance. And what do we do when we would like to report a theft? We say that my phone was stolen while I was shopping. I need to file a police report. Or could you help me cancel my stolen credit card? So, what does that conversation look like? When you walk into the police station, we say, hello, officer, I lost my passport. Where did you last see it? At the train station. I think it was stolen. We'll file a report and contact your embassy. Thank you for your help. Extra phrases could be, can I get a copy of the report, please? And do I need to contact the embassy myself? Now remember, each situation could be different. This is just one example of how that conversation could go. What happens when you need to ask for directions in an emergency? We could ask things like, where is the nearest hospital, please? Can you show me the police station quickly? Excuse me, where can I find a pharmacy? And is there an embassy near here? If we have a transport emergency, we could say that my car broke down on the highway. There was an accident. The bus is delayed. We are stranded at the airport overnight. We need a tow truck to move the car. And I have a flat tire. Can you help me? So at the bottom, you will see the French translation for broke down, delayed, stranded, a tow truck, and a flat tire. So remember that by staying calm, using short and direct expressions, and remembering the key phrases we practiced, you can transform your fear into focus. Being prepared is not only about first aid kits or emergency numbers. It's also about having the words ready on your lips when seconds truly matter. So it's important to be prepared and not be scared. So I'd like to thank you for joining me for this evening's conference.